It's been 7 long years, but we can finally play 2008's Wario Land Shake It, which may not be Wario Land 5 in name, but it is the 6th Wario Land game. And now that I have pressed the 2 button, we have overcome our final obstacle, stopping us from playing this video game. So, things have changed since Wario Land 4. Things have remained the same. Things have gone back to the way we remember them, such as Captain Syrup, who has been absent since 1998's Wario Land 2. She returns after a 10-year-long pirate siesta, and she's back to her feisty pirate tricks, her pirate fiesta, if you would. So we'll need to be on a lookout for that one. So, this game is known as Wario Land Shake It in America, Wario Land the Shake Dimension in Europe, Wario Land Shake in Japan and China, and in Korea it's known as Wario Land Shaking, and that's the Shake King, who is the bad guy. The Shake King has stolen the bottomless coin sack, a sack of coins that is bottomless. So someone we know may want that. So, things changed after Wario Land 4. 3 years after it, in 2004, Nintendo disbanded their R&D departments. Oh, that's Queen Merelda and her Murphles. They're in danger, and we must save them. So Nintendo disbanded their R&D departments. It looked like it was a corporate restructuring, not like a mass layoff situation. I hope that's what it looks like, though, because a lot of the team ended up in things like EAD, which is Nintendo's thing where they do the big Marios, their big Zeldas, like their big hitters, and SPD, which does like supporting software, such as R&D 1, which was the team responsible for Wario Land 4, ended up going to SPD Group 1, which did things like WarioWare, Rhythm Heaven, The Mii's. So it had been 7 years, so where did the inspiration for a new Wario Land come from? Well, Takahiro Harada, a producer at Nintendo, found inspiration in 2005's Ganbare Goemon DS, otherwise known as Ganbare Goemon Tokai Dochu Oedo Tengu Rikashi no Maki, a Japanese-only game. Surprising, I know. So, he contacted the producer of that game, Etsunobu Obisu, who just left Konami, and there's our man in his Wario Kart, fast asleep, powerful, strong, handsome. So, Etsunobu Obisu, the Konami producer person, just left Konami to co-found / be involved in the founding of Goodfeel. And Goodfeel at the time didn't really have any big hitters behind their name. They had done games such as Training Words, Training Quiz, Sense Training, Shape Space. So, Wario Land Shake It was their first big hitter, so you may say thank you, Goodfeel, at the computer screen, and I'll know if you don't, for games such as Kirby's Epic Yarn, Yoshi's Woolly World, and Yoshi's Crafted World. So Wario Land, very good, kind of gave Goodfeel the big start, although you could argue that their clout from being a producer at Konami. Not important. The animation for this game, which is beautiful, wonderful, Excelente, comes from Production IG, who have done anime such as Ghost in the Shell, Cromartie High School, the first episode of Pokemon Origins, a One Piece OVA made before Toei had the anime license, a Kid Icarus Uprising short, the second season of Metabots, and plenty of other things. They've also done animation for games such as Xenogears and the Radiant Fire Emblems, Path of Radiance, and Radiant Dawn. The excellent soundtrack for this game, just because I didn't give it 3 good things doesn't mean it's not incredible, was done by Tomoya Tomita and Minako Hamano. Tomita's done games such as Epic Yarn, Yoshi's Woolly World, so kind of a good feel produced music producer, composer, that's what those are called. Hamano, kind of a known name, done games such as Link's Awakening, Wario World, a Yawn, a Donkey Kong Country Returns, Tropical Freeze, and Super Metroid. So I don't know, kind of a nobody. But trivia is over. It's finally time to start playing the game. Our man's here. He's gonna help the Murphles. He's gonna save Queen Merelda. It's time to play Wario Land Shake It. So with a hop, let's play. We hate to see him go, but we love to watch him leave. We find ourselves transported to the Shake Dimension aboard the Sweet Stuff, our tutorial level for the video game. But before we can be tutorial taught at, we must have a conversation with Captain Syrup, which will be difficult for us because we've kept things light and flirty up into this moment. You know, I steal your treasure, you steal mine, but we've never just sat down and had a heart-to-heart. But now we're going to be taught about, the stakes of the video game, Shake Kings and bottomless coins, how many bosses there are, how many worlds there are, standard video game fare. We'll be taught game mechanics, how the game operates. We'll learn about Queen Merelda and how she's being held against her wheel. Some people say wheel instead of will. It's a regional dialect, I assure you. We'll learn about Murphles that we got to save, but it's not important. What is important, that Wario is very handsome. So yes, we're going to go ahead and do what Captain Syrup says and rob this ship blind, which you think she'd be concerned about, this being her ship, I suppose, but she's a privateer. She stole the ship. She stole the treasure. She's not too worried about us stealing her treasure, which Seems like that should raise a bit of a red flag, but we're not too worried about it. What we are worried about is this 3D Merfolk, which is a 3D object within this like world of 2D entities. It's very strange and a little uncanny. You couldn't really tell on the Nintendo Wii thanks to the resolution, but thanks to the upscaling that this emulation has allowed us to see. We can see it in its entire 3D uncanniness. Like, it doesn't look bad. But, the animation's very beautiful in this game, and, it's obviously a 3D thing in a 2D world. So here we are, playing the video game, but before we go forward, we want to go back. Not that there's anything important, but I just wanted to show this is the beginning gate of the level. You just skip this first screen whenever you do whenever you start up the game and have the conversation with Syrup, you skip that first screen. Not that it's important, because we'll be coming back. We'll be coming back. Why? We'll talk about that in a moment. What we do want to talk about is Wario. So he has most of his moves and mechanics from Wario Land 4, but we'll worry about that in a moment. In a moment. What we are worried about is that this is a Bandinero, your standard enemy. It can't hurt you if you shake it. It will sometimes drop a clove of garlic, which you can use to heal yourself. We'll worry about them later, because we're going to worry a lot of things later. We're going to worry about this right now. That's a treasure. A treasure, it's an optional collectible. There's 3 per level. If you collect all of the treasures in the video game, there is a reward. You can also go and they have little flavor text, which we'll look at the end of the level. And here we can see Wario's patented shoulder barge, his little tackle attack, his best move that should be represented better in Smash Brothers. And here we can see Wario's kind of main gimmick mechanic for the game, which is shaking. His shaking manifests in a few different ways. This one kind of being the most clear-cut one. You pick up a thing and you shake it. We shook the Bandinero. We got a thing. You can shake these bags, you get money. So the money will despawn with time, and it's affected by physics. So you tend to want to find somewhere safe to shake the money where it won't fly out of your way. You can shake it against these bounding box transition screens, and it'll bounce off as if it were a wall. You just want to be careful not to actually leave the screen, or else the money will despawn quicker. So Wario can crawl in this game, pretty cool. What's even better though, Wario can crawl jump, and his crawl jump is incredible. The animation in this game, so much character, so good, so beautiful, so pretty, so hand done. So another way you utilize the power of the Nintendo Wii is whenever you go into a throwing stance, you aim by tilting the Wiimote, which is a little annoying. It's not bad. It's absolutely not the worst use of the motion controls in this video game. But it can be a little obnoxious from time to time when you're trying to aim, especially if you're trying to aim quickly. It's not typically too big of a problem. And we just completed a mission there, which I suppose I should talk about. So I've never actually completed this game. When this game first came out, I wasn't too concerned about these missions. I just played through the game, got the treasures, called it a day. And when I replayed this game in college, I was doing all of the missions. Then it hit a point where, he was busy in college or whatever, and I was like, I want to finish the game, but I don't have time for all these missions. So I just kind of ended up finishing the game without bothering with the mission. So this is going to be my first time 100%ing Wario Land Shake It, because we've 100%ed all the other Wario Land games, so we might as well as do this one. The last one. Maybe not the last one, Nintendo. Make it happen, Wario Land 5. So yes, the missions. There are 3 to 7 missions per world. 7? I think it's 7. 3 to 7 per level. And we're going to be completing them all. This one's pretty easy. We've already jumped off of Bandinero's head. We're on our way to collecting 10,000 coins. But what could a golden enemy be? Well, I suppose we'll see in a moment. After we introduce the last manifestation of Wario's shaking powers, in which you can punch the screen, which will cause the screen to shake, knocking things with exclamation points around, stunning enemies. It's a pretty good move. Oh, and hey, there's the golden enemy. What do you know? So yeah, you have that bar at the top that shows your charge for the punch. It's typically not too big a deal, but you will sometimes find yourself wishing that you could punch more often. But Wario has to regain his strength. So the golden enemies, if you were just to kill them, you get a big gold coin, but you always want to try and shake out the golden enemy if you're going for money, because you'll always get more money shaking them out than you would just by defeating them normally. So just pick them up, shake them, then destroy them. So just like in Wario Land 4, if you ground pound from far enough, Wario does this heightened ground pound attack. So unlike Wario Land 4, Wario has lost his dash attack in this game. What has been replaced with is these Max Fastosity Dasherators, in which you enter a dash much like in Wario Land 4, but now you can only use it whenever you enter that dash pipe, as it's known in the original Japanese Wario Land Shake. But you got to find the thing, and then once you go in the thing, you do a dash. It's cool. So Wario can no longer roll in this game. In previous Wario Land games, when you found an incline, you'd hold down on the D-pad, and then you would enter a roll. In this game, instead, there are special inclines that Wario cannot walk up. in which he'll just slide down, and it functions similar to the roll. It's a little bit more controlled, a little less chaotic, but you know, it's the replacement for it in this video game. That was a Buccanero enemy that could actually hurt us, but it was nothing in front of Wario's great might and mass. Nothing could stop him, his might, mass, or ass. So that was a big clove of garlic. I think it recovers a bit more than the small ones. We're not too worried about it though, because Wario's a tough guy who will never fall in battle because we're so good at this video game. So when you dash, you break through metal. You can turn on a, well, I was gonna say you can turn on a dime, but you actually cannot turn on a dime. You gotta like lead your turn. You can jump. It's cool. So the Wario Land games. The Wario Land games function as pairs. Wario Land 1 and Virtual Boy are pairs in that they're kind of straightforward platformers with hat-based power-ups similar to kind of Mario, but in a Wario flair. 2 and 3 are a pair in that Wario's invulnerable, although 2 and 3 kind of have differences in their game design. You know, they form a pair in that you play them back to back. You're like, yeah, I can see how these games are related. 4 and Shake It are a pair in that, you know, Wario shares a lot of the same mechanics between games, but also they share that they involve folded level design. So just like in 4, you'll hit a point in the level where you find the Murphle. Well, in 4 it was a frog switch that you would hit, opening up the warp back to the beginning of the level. In this game, you find the Murphle and you got to get back to your beginning gate that you started the level in. So yeah, it's folded level design, similar to it. The levels will either, like, you'll traverse, like, back through an area you already explored to get back to the beginning, or you'll traverse a new area, kind of like this level, to get back to the gate. It's neat, it's fun. The Murphle will point your way back to the gate so you can end the level. And with that, we've completed the level. But you're probably wondering, what's that time for? Well, if the time runs out, you'll get a game over, which I will now show you what it looks like. And once you start running out of time, this scary theme, the theme of the Shake King, will kick in to let you know you're running out of time. But in Wario Land 4, when you run out of time, you start hemorrhaging coins. And once you hemorrhage coins, you get a game over. However, in this game, once you run out of time, that's it. The Shake King is upon you. It's game over, buddy. You gotta face the man himself as he shakes you for everything you're worth, and he throws you to the curb. And you must retry the stage. So this game, unlike Wario Land 4, has a checkpoint system in which I believe we hit right before we save the Murphle. It's a big blue block. Oh god, no, there's not a checkpoint in this one. I thought there was a checkpoint. Oh geez. So typically there are checkpoints in the video game. Right whenever you save a Murphle, there'll be a blue block. You hit it, it checkpoints you, and you're good. But this one doesn't have a checkpoint, and I forgot about that. Something I glossed over our first time through this level were these switches. They're just on and off blocks. There's nothing really special about them, aside from their name. They're called certainty switches and uncertain blocks, which I find that to be a very cute name for just, you know, on-off blocks. It's a nice name. I just wanted to mention it, and I didn't. Okay, so back to the Murphle. So I had mistakenly thought that there was a checkpoint here, because there's usually a checkpoint by the Murphle. And I also just want to talk about this before we do this, is the pause screen. Pause screen, aesthetically pretty good. I love the way that it, like, shuts in on itself. I think it's very cool. You know, it has a nice, like, Sonic aesthetic with that kind of zigzag with the split colors. Something I'm not a big fan of is, and this is a very weird nitpick, but whenever you have to retry the levels a lot, it's kind of obnoxious. I don't like the way that these buttons are positioned. So retry will retry you from either the beginning of the stage or the checkpoint, depending on which one you've hit more recently. Give up will knock you out of the level back to the level select. I think that these two probably should have been swapped, since you always start on controls whenever you unpause. So like if I go back now, and then I pause, you start. So it'd just be nice if you had retry before give up. I don't know. In my brain, it always made more sense to do it that way. It's a very small nitpick I thought I would bring up just because, you know, I have the hindsight of, you know, playing this game after the words. You know, I don't have to worry about the difficult development that I'm sure that this game saw. Because like I mentioned in the intro, this game was like inspired by like, and by inspire, I looked at the Goemon that it was based off of, and there's not really like a lot of like, oh yes, this is a Wario Land game there. Like the inspiration, I guess, more came from the kind of just general feel the game gave. I'm not sure because I've never played it because, you know, it's Japanese exclusive. But, you know, being inspired from a 2005 game coming out in 2008, this game may have had like a 3 to like 2.5 year development cycle, which isn't terribly long, like in, you know, the grand scheme of things, but that's still a decently long development cycle. So, like this game may have been in development for a while. I don't remember the original point I was going to make, but there we go. We've completed our tutorial level, and with that, we get bumped out. Because we finished the level, we are not stranded in the Shake Dimension. That line always seemed weird, like, oh, if you can't save my friend, you'll be stranded there. But you're not actually. You can abandon the level. You can come back to Wario's garage at any time. Maybe that was like a story thing at some point. Wario can always come back home to shake his glorious booty at the screen anytime you damn well please. But we're just going to go ahead and hop back in. We're done with levels for this episode, but we're going to go ahead and go back to the sweet stuff because Captain Syrup has opened up a little pirate shop for us on her ship. So we'll just go in and visit her, see what she has to offer us, the goods that she will be providing us throughout the video game. Yep, we won't be needing her because we're so damn cool. Although, if she were to show up in Smash Brothers as a playable character, I wouldn't, but she's here to sell us some things. And what we'll be buying is the Area Map 1. So what we have here are all of the maps for the video game. So once you get cash, you can come and unlock the worlds and do them in any way you please. The levels unlock linearly leading up to the boss. But if, you're stuck on a world, you can go ahead and go to the next world if you have the cash to bankroll it. You can also come in here and buy the opening movie and, spoilers, the ending movie. You can also come in here and buy extra health hearts. So I think she gets one at the end of every world, so you can come and buy an extra heart. You can also buy recovery potions, which just heal you whenever you run out. They're pretty good. Probably will not be using them, though, because we're hardcore gamers, and we don't need them, because hardcore gamers never use the potions that recover you from death. I would never do that in any of my Let's Plays. I'm sorry. I was going to say I promise you, but, I use the fairies a lot in Zeldas, etc. The health potion and the Oracle Game Boy Zeldas. But there we go. We've unlocked our first world, which we'll be checking out in the next episode. Because, like I said, we're done with levels for this episode. I'm beat. But, this is Wario Land Shake It. I think it's a pretty good game. It looks incredible. It sounds great. It's fun. This game is still pretty cheap physically. You can find the discs for it in pretty much any game store. I've always seen them at game stores. They tend to run pretty cheap. But, if you're not a physical kind of person, you just want it digitally, it is available on the Wii U eShop. Rest in peace. Oh, man. The Wii U got done dirty, but the Wii U, it has Wario Land Shake It on it. So you can go and pick it up on the Wii U eShop if you still have that hooked up. It's pretty good. I recommend it. You should play the video game. You should also play Wario Land 4, also available on I almost said the Wario Land eShop, which would be great, but the Wii U eShop. But this is the end of the episode. Before the end of the episode, we're going to come in here and before we take a look at this, we're going to go look at the media room. Whenever you complete all the missions for a level, you unlock the level song in the media room, so you can come and listen to it at any time you please. But the treasures, we're going to come in here and take a look at the treasures, because the treasures have little flavor text you can come and read, and it tends to be pretty funny. Thick sweet syrup made by the Murphles with love and a zesty blend of 11 herbs. Wouldn't think you put herbs in syrup, but I'm not a Murphle, I don't know. 6-week-old curry. The pirate galley cook recommends curry be aged properly before eating. I have heard curry gets better with age. Fickle compass. This compass points north, or whatever other direction takes its fancy. Pretty good, it's just fun flavor text. We'll be coming in here and taking a look at that at the end of every episode. Well, like I said, end of the episode. Watch the next one. Watch this space for the next episode of Let's Play Wario Land Shake It with me. Yeah.